possible optimal censorship issue? Because by using the... Okay, change it. Okay. So by using the enhancement and the echoing power of media, of course, this one act has been reproduced all over the world in times and times stronger way. Mm-hmm. So, as you said, you have been in the combating side of this as well. What do you think could be the optimal level of, in quotations, censorship in mainstream media and on internet vis-a-vis these terror acts? Because at some point, it may also really get to the point of this terrorist trap where the governments will be falling into, this time by excessive censorship, so freedom of speech would be really diminished, and that would actually cause more tension, as you have explained in the figure. So what do you think is the optimal level of censorship so as to combat such actions?
Mm-hmm. You know what, it's hard to really strike a perfect balance between those two probably. But my sense is this. I don't think there should be an official, that's why I wouldn't like to even call it censorship. I don't think there should be even governmental instructions towards media or any outlet how not to report about terrorist incidents. But I would prefer the responsible media institutions, the media world, really think about this, follow some world standards in some other countries, and come up with a responsible self-control rather than censorship or self-censorship. Because they would know better than even anybody else. Because they are the media people, they've been in that business for a long time. They would know better than some others what would hurt the chances of counterterrorism, or what would be the terrorist manipulation. For example, imagine there are things happening in Turkey's southeast, right? In the name of the freedom of expression, these would have to be expressed, these would have to be reported, But if, as government, we officially tell them, hey, don't report anything out of, I don't know, Diyarbakır, Cizre, I think that would be a mistake. See, I don't know how you could strike a balance, but I'm just speculating on my thoughts. But the governmental people and the media people and all the relevant people would sit together and talk about this, and can easily, because I remember a practice of it years ago, even in Istanbul, can sit together and talk about this and almost define, more or less, what would be really ethically responsible in reporting or not reporting, or how of the reporting is important. Look, if you report something in a way that keeps generating fear, then you are falling into the trap. But if you keep reporting the same thing that would not generate the fear, but at least would remind people that, hey, some cautiousness is necessary, that would be much better than the other. But still, even though I said all these things, I can't, there is no magic formula in that one. That's why it's a constant debate. Because a lot of the times media or pro-freedom of expression people would say that, hey, that's censorship. And then the government would say that, no, that hurts our countering strategies. But as somebody who worked years ago on that part, I distinctly remember irresponsible reporting hurting the chances of counter-terrorism. Some irresponsible reporting. But it would have to be really discussed, but it would have to be decided by the media institutions, independent media institutions themselves. That's why it shouldn't be, a censorship, but it would be more like, I call it responsible reporting, or sometimes self-control even, self-control mechanisms.
A very short follow-up, if I may.
Yes.
I don't know if you have studied particularly, but how would you assess the role of Al Jazeera, for example, vis-a-vis the issues in Afghanistan, in Iraq and Syria now, basically Al Jazeera Arabic or English, but in general, if you have some opinion on that, I would really like to hear
You know, look, Al Jazeera Arabic, Al Jazeera English, CNN International, BBC, if you look at them for the same incident, you see a very different reporting. There is a major difference even between Al Jazeera Arabic and Al Jazeera English. If you want to see real hardcore reporting on those issues, you would have to look at Al Jazeera Arabic, for example, right? Al Jazeera English is a little bit different. So that's why I'm saying that in a particular country, maybe, those would have to get together and discuss. And it would have to be decided in environments like that. Nobody should tell anybody else, hey, here is how you are going to report. Because that is censorship. Because that is a political statement, and it might also get manipulated. You might say today, hey, don't report this because it hurts my counterterrorism strategies, but nobody knows what your counterterrorism strategies are, right? You can very well be manipulating it. That's why they would have to get together. This happened in Turkey a couple of times. I don't know what is happening nowadays, but I remember, for example, at the height of the PKK terrorism in maybe 1990s, in the middle of 1994 or something, all the chief editors of the newspapers got together. They discussed among themselves how they should be reporting this issue. I thought that was a good move by themselves for a responsible reporting.